I've often said this on the show that it must be very difficult when you're a celebrity and you get asked to perform in front of our wonderful British monarchy, particularly in the older days. We joke about the medieval times, don't we, with the court jester being hoofed off if he didn't make royalty laugh quick, that sort of stuff. But really, it's still very nerve-wracking, and I've been lucky enough myself to appear in front of royalty. I also interviewed so many people along the way who told me about their experiences being paralysed with fear, that sort of stuff. Even the comedian Frank Skinner, literally at the Dominion Theatre, died a death, so much so that he was omitted from the final televisual broadcast because he literally got no laughs. I was there that night working on the show, and you could hear him squeaking up and down the stage with his shoes. He knew he was dying, but there was nothing they could do. The marvellous Tommy Steele told me this wonderful story about when he was a young rock and roller, appearing in his very first Royal Variety performance. And there he was, of course, coming on full of youth and energy, and they were a little bit staid. And he tried his best, asking them to sing along, clap along, nothing. And then he looked to the royal box and he saw these two white gloved hands leaning out from the royal box, looking across the auditorium, and they started clapping. And it was the late Queen Mother who got the audience on his side. And he said he never forgot it. And he thanked her in the lineup afterwards and said, Mom, thank you. I was literally dying out there. But she said, no, I thought you did a wonderful job. Don't worry about that. And he said that was the point where he realised the good they can do because people took the lead from them. Another major star, though, that was very popular with none other than Queen Mary of Teck is this man, George Formby, a huge star in the 30s, 40s, right through until the early 60s, with his cheeky, chappy lifestyle, his rather risque songs, and more importantly, getting banned by the BBC for songs like With My Little Stick of Blackpool Rock, amongst other things. When I'm cleaning windows, we all know the songs, right? What was interesting, though, is a lot of people realise, or seem to remember, that both the Queen Mother and our late Queen, Queen Elizabeth, were big fans of George. But it was Queen Mary, actually, who got them all started on it because she found him by listening to the radio broadcast. Couldn't apparently understand him, right? Much so that people would have to say, oh no, he's saying this or he's saying that. What she realised, of course, was for her being of Germanic background, if she couldn't understand him, then, well, what was this sort of accent, as it were? You've got to remember, this is in the 40s. Well, they explained it's Lancashire, very similar to Yorkshire, we drop vowels, all that sort of stuff. And she was very keen to meet George, so a meeting was arranged alongside his formidable wife, Beryl. They got on like a house on fire, so much so that he taught her some sort of phrases from Lancashire, I'll do, all of that sort of stuff, very northern, as it were. But what was fascinating was that she became a lifelong fan, always asking for his movies to be screened at Windsor Castle or at Buckingham Palace whenever she was in residence because she loved it so much. But as she pointed out, he is breaking through to an audience that only we can dream of. And she realised the fact that she had to make sure that she could be understood when she was out giving a speech. And apparently, according to a very well-placed source who knew both Queen Mary and George Formby well, she used him as a template as to how to work with the audience to get them on side, that sort of stuff. Maybe a little quip here and there. As I said, the Queen apparently could do a terrific impression of George Formby and did it incredibly well, as could the late Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth. They seem to have really attached themselves to him because, as I say, he was a superstar of the era. There is no two ways about it. Everybody enjoyed George Formby. But like everything, he slightly fell out of fashion in the late 1950s and sadly passed away due to ill health a little bit later on. But the royal fans never forgot him, and even to her last days, apparently, the Queen still enjoyed the occasional listen to some of her favourite George Formby tunes. As for Queen Mary, apparently she cited him as help to making sure that she could break through to a bigger, wider audience, and she said she loved his style, his panache, and more importantly, how he literally walked on a stage and handled a bigger audience. So you see, even royals can take a turn from the turns, as it were. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.